Most people don't understand that the way you are making goals is literally setting you up for failure. Now I know you might be thinking, but everyone makes New Year's resolutions, it's good for you. No. Sit down and think for a second. Do resolution style goals really work for you? Do you remember your New Year's resolutions from, let's say, last year? What about the year before? You don't remember them because we aren't meant to progress and achieve in that way. It literally goes against our nature as humans to just see an achievement stated on paper and then actually follow through to achieving that goal or even remembering it. If you can't remember what you wanted to achieve last year, how do you expect yourself to even get close to achieving that goal? Considering this video came up on your recommended feed, you might be familiar with the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book is absolutely brilliant and it really teaches you how to make really effective goals. The goal setting method I'm going to share with you in this video is based on a few of the techniques and concepts in that book, so if you do want to go and look into that a bit more, I do recommend reading that book, but you don't really have to kind of follow along with the video. But I've adapted this method a little bit just to suit my personal preferences and also the preference of our instant gratification addicted generation of the tiniest attention span ever. This is one of the reasons why I've made it so that the habits you're going to build when you do this method, some of the goals are so small and seemingly so easy that anyone from a TikTok addict to David Goggins can commit.
Get back to fucking work.
I also wanted to mention that some of the parts of this video are inspired by Cole Hastings' YouTube video, which I'll link in the description if you want to check that out. Anyway, let's go on to the method. You want to start by thinking about the person you want to become. Grab a pen and paper and draw a stick man. Annotate this with everything about this new person. Think about who you really want to be. Now, associating your goals with a new identity is a whole lot more effective than just writing down one goal. Think about the person that says they're trying to quit smoking. That person is more likely to pick up a cigarette than someone who simply says, I don't smoke. I would recommend writing about several different categories, like social, emotional, physical, stuff like that. In fact, I'll do it along with you right now, so you have no excuse to not do this. Grab a pen and paper, or you can even do it on a computer or phone if you really don't want to get up and do this with me now. Okay, so I don't know if this is going to focus, but this is what I've written. This is what I've written here. And, okay, so what I've done is I've written lots of different, not only characteristics, but different habits in different areas of life, so physical, mental, like I said. And then what I've done is I've put underneath these habits, what am I going to gain from it? Like, what am I going to really get out of it? What value am I going to get from it? Like, for example, here I've got put many on here. I recommend putting just as many as you want, really, as many as you see sufficient, but I'd say put at least maybe 5 to 10 if you can. Here I got, for example, good physique, lean and muscular, which will bring physical confidence. And another example is, social and outgoing. Another habit I could put on top of this that I haven't put down is, talking to people on a daily basis, talking to one new person a day, etc., etc. The next step you're going to want to think about is the smallest thing, a really specific thing or habit that you could really do and really easily do to get closer to being that person and having all the characteristics that you've basically just written down. Make sure that you're really specific. In Atomic Habits, things that it says is many people think they lack motivation when what they really lack is clarity. Your new habits, or systems as James Clear calls them in the book, need to be ultra specific. I would suggest categorizing these habits into a dedicated reason. These reasons should be characteristics that you've written down earlier in the identity section of the method. For each reason, define the when, where, what, and how of the action. Let me give you an example. A bad habit would be workout. This is not very specific or clear at all, and you're just very likely to see it and say I'll do it later. This is because you have not been specific enough and you don't have a clear intention. A good example of this, however, would be I will work out at the gym after work or school at 6 PM for 1 hour. This description of the habit is so clear that it's literally impossible to say I'll do it later because of the time, place, and duration are part of the habit itself. You can add these habit descriptions on top of each other in a method that the book calls habit stacking. This gives you a definitive vision for the day and eliminates the potential for disorganization. Finally, the last step is to come up with a way to organize these habits and plan the day. I already know that you're thinking, I'm not planning my day the night before, it will take ages and I'm not that committed. Well, if that's you, my suggestion is that you plan in the same way that I do, because I literally felt the exact same way when I started this self-improvement journey. Now, of course, there are other ways to plan, and you should use whatever suits you, but I'm going to share my personal way of planning because I think it works for me, and I think it will work for a lot of you guys as well. So, the way I plan is I put the organization into 3 separate sections. The first section is my habits. So, the habits that you've just written down are going to be the ones that you put in this section. So, I generally put them in chronological order just because it's easier to tick through and it's quite satisfying to do so. So that's basically pretty self-explanatory. So just write down your goals in this kind of tick box here. Okay, so the next part of this organization method is the W's and L section. So I actually got this off the Cole Hastings video that I mentioned earlier, so check that out. But basically what this is every time you do something in accordance with your vision and for your vision for your new identity, what you want to do is you want to put a W in this section. And then in the L's, you want to put an L in that section if you do something that goes against your identity or a bad habit that you're trying to break, etc., etc. In the final section, you want to put your to-do list. So these are very specific things that are going to change from day to day, depending on what you need to do, actually. So it doesn't really matter too much if you don't get some of these done. It really depends on what you do in this section, because it's the habits that really kind of build you towards that new identity, but it's the to-do list that kind of makes you feel more productive and makes you feel like you're doing something super specific that's going to... Now let's talk about the benefits of using this goal setting method. Okay, so first of all, it's much more effective than just writing down these vague resolutions or goals just because you're creating a clear identity for yourself and associating your goals with that identity. This makes it much more likely that you'll follow through with your actions and achieve your goals in general. Secondly, by making these habits small and specific, it becomes easier to integrate them into your daily routine, which is what I found, which makes them a lot more sustainable in the long run and a lot more easier to commit to them if you're kind of a short attention span person like I used to be. Finally, by planning your day and creating a better routine, you'll be able to manage your time better and just be more productive in general, so that's a plus. In conclusion, if you're serious about self-improvement and achieving your goals, you need to change the way you set those goals. By following the method I've outlined in this video, you'll be able to create a clear identity for yourself and set specific, achievable habits that will get you closer to becoming that person. It may take some time to get used to, but the results will be really, really worth it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you find this video really helpful.